Good morning. I'm Maiki Oreta with the latest in business here on the BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. The country's latest gross domestic product, or GDP, figures have just been released. The Philippine Statistics Authority says the economy expanded by 6.3% in the second quarter. That's faster than the revised 5.8% rate in Q1 and the 4.3% expansion recorded in the same period last year. The latest figure is also higher than economists' expectations of growth at 6%. The services sector was the biggest contributor to the GDP at 4.2 percentage points. National Economic and Development Authority Secretary Arsenio Balisacan hails the country's Q2 performance, saying it demonstrates resilience amid various domestic and external challenges. Balisacan adds that with this, the country is on track to achieve the government's growth target of 6 to 7% for the full year. On to earnings data. Property giant Megaworld sees strong financial results in the first half of 2024. The company reported a net income of about 8.6 billion pesos. That's an increase of 9% from last year. Consolidated revenue climbed 22% to 39.10 billion pesos. Megaworld attributes the growth to what they're describing as a healthy demand for township developments across the country, particularly in Taguig, Cavite, Bulacan, Palawan, and Cebu. Another property giant, Ayala Land, also delivering a solid performance in the first 6 months of the year. The firm's net income grew 15% to 13.1 billion pesos from the same period in 2023. That's as their consolidated revenue surged 34% to 84 billion pesos on the back of a buoyant demand for their property offerings, coupled with robust consumer spending. Overseas, Cathay Pacific Airways reported a 15% drop in first-half profit from 4.7 million Hong Kong dollars last year to 3.8 million this 2024. The airline says this decline was due to the normalization of ticket prices. Despite the drop, Cathay Pacific has announced an interim dividend, citing their strong performance as the basis for this payout. After recovering from Monday's sell-off, U.S. stocks closed lower Wednesday as the upbeat sentiment fizzled out. This as investors remain cautious over the health of America's economy. This amid sharp declines in tech shares. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.6%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq lost 1%. While the indices started the trading day higher, they began to lose steam during the afternoon session, paring gains further following weakness in the demand for a 10-year Treasury auction. Amid fears of an economic downturn there, economists assert that recessions are cyclical and not necessarily a cause for major concern.
2 days ago, we saw the elevator go from the penthouse down to the outhouse. Yesterday, it came back up partway, and today we're back to something more like the befuddlement of the summer doldrums, and that's probably really good for everybody. There's a lot of economic and a lot of stock market news to digest, and I think investors who aren't at the beach are sort of scratching their foreheads and today are in a state of somewhat suspended equilibrium.
Meanwhile, European shares closed higher in what was their best performance in more than 9 months. The European Stock 600 was up over 1% as a slew of upbeat corporate earnings lifted market sentiment. Let's now take a look at the figures at the Philippine Stock Exchange after the PSE index rallied to the 6,500 level yesterday. Right now, we are still above that level. Not much movement here at the Philippine Stock Exchange. Share prices are up by about 10%. That's for the PSEI index. We're at 6542. All shares index marginally higher as well, up by 0.1% to 3568. The financials, industrial holding firms are in the green, while the services, mining and oil, and property sectors are in the red. Not by much. Financials up by 0.5%, industrial up by 0.4%, holding firms up by 0.3%, services down by 0.1%, mining and oil down by 0.25%, and property sub-index down the most, down by 0.7%. Let's also take a look at the foreign exchange market. Now, as of today, August 8th, the peso opened at 57 pesos and 60 centavos, slightly stronger from its previous close of 57 pesos and 70 centavos. Now, right now, it's trading between a range of 57.56 and 57.68. And those were the latest business stories this hour. I'm Maiki Oreta. Keep it here on the BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Always on top.